Okay, so right now you're at like your peak, I don't know, body composition is like you're in the 170s now at like 8%, or what is it?
Yeah, I'm right now. I'm 179. And physique, I put up a little. Let me see if I can find this. I put up a little video of my shape. See if I can find this. I put up a little video of my shape yesterday. I can send you this video clip. But like pretty lean, pretty like this is me right now. And again, like, you know, I've been lifting since I was 13 years old. I'm 30, so it's like there's not, I my condition just like it's not like this condition is way better than last year. It's like, I'm kind of, I it's kind of just maintaining, maybe getting a bit leaner for a bit, putting on a bit like getting a bit more strength, but you're kind of just in the same spot.
For the amount of muscle you gain like per year, the whole natural, like what is your limit of how much you can gain? Like how many years did it take to kind of reach your, with actual proper programming and diet, reach your kind of like right now you're kind of just like eking out like little tiny bits per year potentially, but to get the foundation of like the 99% you've built, how many years do you think that would have taken if you did everything right from the get-go? And how many did it take?
Yeah, so it's hard. So me, it's hard to completely understand because I started lifting literally before I hit puberty. Like I started lifting as I hit puberty. And like I definitely had some years where I was lifting where I was 15, I put on 20 pounds in a year. I did put on some body fat for sure, but some of that growth would have been a byproduct of puberty. Yeah. So, and then at 18 years old, I did get to 180 pounds, but my body fat was definitely higher. And I hit a 315 at 18 at like 182 for one rep, 315 for one. I'm 30 now. The best I've done on 315 was 7 reps. So it's like, 18 to 30, I went from which is equivalent of an extra 60 pounds. It's like an extra, so it's like so I technically from 18 to late 20s, I added 60 pounds to my bench, which is, again, it's like, so the thing is that you can make, from my experience, you can make 80% of like you build your 80% of your physique in the first 3 to 4 years. And then, the next 5 to 10 years, 5 years, you're really shooting for that extra 10, 20%. That's sort of been my experience. That said, that's if you've hit the ground running, you're 17, 18 years old, you start training, you train weekly, you track your workouts, you're pushing yourself, your nutrition is pretty much on point, and you don't deviate. You don't take a month off. Like once I started lifting, I haven't taken a month off. The only time I took 3 months off was when I had an injury. Other than that, maybe a week off after going hard for 3 to 4 months, but not even more, usually 4 or 5 days chilling. But a lot of people, they train and then they'll miss a couple workouts and then they skip the next week and this and that. It doesn't work. To really make solid gains and build like 80% of your potential in the first 3 years, you have to really be completely consistent, track. And that's the where I see people making great results is when they're tracking their lifts and they're tracking every workout. And then where I see people kind of making initial gains, but then just getting stuck and doing nothing is when they go to the gym, they go through the motions, they go through the sets and reps. Maybe they push themselves, but they have no idea what they did last time. They don't know if they added 5 pounds or a rep. So the only way to really make solid gains beyond like the first very easy gains is to track everything. And then when you then like for me now like, if I didn't want to track, I could just maintain and not really track my lifts and just go in, and because I know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to maintain. But like if when you're trying to build yourself up, you got to be like very, very on the point.
It's wild how many people don't track, and it's like the most crucial thing I would imagine, especially if you're doing you only have one chance per week to go up, and it's like if you like give that up because you forget what you did the week before and you do some like the same thing or potentially something that's not useful, like you just wasted like a quarter of a month of fucking like gains, So,
yeah.
Like, did you have a logbook from like when everything started picking up for you, or?
Yeah, since I was like 14, 15, I had tons of books tracking my workouts. Now I just do it on my iPhone on my notes, and I tracked everything. I played around with I did starting strength as a 15-year-old. I did the starting strength program for But that worked well to get my squat up. I got my squat up, but my bench didn't move as much. And I found a lot of limitations with a lot of different trainings that I did.
Adding that incremental weight per week. So obviously, even as like if you're natural, it's like infinitely harder, you know, to handle the, I don't know, volume and whatnot and recover. And like, obviously it's that much more important that when you go in the gym, like you're ready, knowing exactly what you're trying to hit, how many reps you want to try and get with it, presumably too. And you have a very specific goal of what you have to beat from the last week. When you start to, like, when you're a newbie, you can stack on like 5, even maybe 10 pounds a week for like the first however many months. But then after that, it starts to taper off, and 5 pounds a week becomes a big jump, honestly. Like the fact that gyms only have 2.5 pound weights per increment, that's pretty fucking hectic of a expectation to try and go up by every single time. Like, did you start implementing micro plates, like those 1 pound plates, or?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I even sold micro plates at one point, and that was helpful. The 1.25s. Yeah, I found that for, you know, most upper body heavy lifts, the idea, like, you know, going up 10 pounds a month is feasible, especially like, you know, as you're a beginner. And I did do microplates. I never really liked, you know, I stopped selling them. I stopped kind of doing it. I liked it for a bit. But I just kind of found that, you know, if you're doing incline bench, the first set's 4 to 5 reps. When you hit 5 reps, basically add 5 pounds the next week, just do 4. And that 4 might actually, theoretically, if you're doing 225 pounds for 5, it's actually easier to do 230 for 4 than 225 for 5 based on the predicted 1 rep max. But regardless, you know, hit 225 for 5. The next week you go to 230. And even though 230 for 4 is easier, because you're just stronger, that 4th rep's going to be finished nice and easy. That 4th rep is like usually pretty easy. And then the next week you just stay at 230 and you add that 5th rep.
What if you're stuck on that 5th rep though? Like there's definitely a range. Like let's say you're doing, I don't know, 6 to 8 or something, and you get up to 8 reps of 2 plates on incline bench. Yeah. Now the next week, maybe you do 230 for 6 and you get that. And then the week after you try 235 or you try 230 for 7 or 8, but you still get 6 again. And it's like week by week, you're stuck at fucking 6. Do you go below the 6 and increase the weight? And then like at some point, what do you do when you plateau?
So I'll do like the 6 to 8 reps, 8 to 10, whatever, that progression model for dumbbells. For barbell, I just like to do 4 to 5 reps or 5 to 6, 7 to 8, just because, you know, doing 2 extra reps is a way bigger 1 rep max than just adding 5 pounds. So like if you do 250 for 5, if you do 250 for 4, getting 250 to 6 is like a 20 pound increase in 1 rep max, as opposed to just adding the 5 pounds, letting the rep drop 1. It's a little confusing for maybe listeners, but basically for heavy barbell movements, I do 4 to 5 reps or whatever. Then for dumbbells, I do 4 to 6, 6 to 8. But if you don't hit that, I do exercise rotation. So sort of like West Side barbell. If I'm doing incline bench for 3-4 weeks, usually people can make PRs for 3 to 4 weeks in a row. And then usually that 4th or 5th week is freaking tricky. Unless it's obvious, because, you know, if you added 5 pounds, if you did, you know, added 10 pounds every month, you know, and at 10 years, I'd be incline pressing 1,500 pounds. The incline pressing the Lambos. I don't know, those are like 3,000 or 4,000 pounds. So then like what ends up happening is I don't like to, if I'm pushing on incline for 4 or 5 weeks in a row and I'm stuck, I don't even like to try and hit that next week. If I hit that plateau, I'm done with that exercise, and now I'm going to do dumbbells for the next 3-4 weeks. Or now I'm going to be like, you know what, let me switch things around. Let me do like a close grip bench press or weighted dip. So if I'm hitting PRs, I stick to that exercise. And if I do not hit a PR that week, then I will shift exercises. And if you're cutting and you're not trying to build strength, you can just stick to the same exercise for 3 to 4 weeks and then change it. But I find that exercise rotation works extremely well. And because, you know, you're with my system, you're training very intensely. Reverse pyramid training is very intense. So, you know, if you push the same movement very, very, very long, it can feel very taxing, very mentally taxing, neurally taxing. So having that fresh exercise every 3 to 4 weeks it's like, damn, it's like, let's like, you feel, it feels fun. Like it makes the training very, very fun. And Westside Barbell talks about this, rest in peace, Louis Simmons. I'm pretty sure he passed away recently. Joe DeFranco, who was somewhat, was very big on Westside. He kind of talks about this. Some of the other guys talk about it. So we'll do like a stretch test as they're warming up to their, let's say, incline bench, they test their stretching. And if they're stretching, like after doing the set is less, then it's a biofeedback that like they should change exercises. I don't do that, but I'll just, hit PRs for 3-4 weeks and then change the exercise. And then, you might have 3 different movements. So, you might have, flat, you might do, flat bench 1 week. And then if you plateau after 3-4 weeks, you might do a close grip bench. And then the next time you might do a weighted dip and just cycle through those. And then every 3-4 months, you should be stronger on that main key movement, the regular bench press.
So if you have like 3 to 4 opportunities to beat a PR on a main compound and you have like years of experience, obviously, like at this point, pretty clearly what your top PR is for incline bench versus the exercise you swap to versus the third exercise you might swap to. When you swap, do you go right up to match your previous PR or do you try and beat it after taking like 4 weeks doing something else?
Yeah, good question. Depends. I would say for people that are new to this, start a bit lighter because there's a lot of there's like a technique issue. So if someone hasn't done incline barbell bench press for years, then they might need a couple weeks just to kind of have their form on lock. Like I've done so much incline bench, like my form is so tight, so I can take a month off of it, come back and be just as strong. So like, let's say I finished off incline at 275 for 5 reps. I spent a month doing dumbbells, got a bit strong on the dumbbells. I'll come back and I'll either do the same weight, 275 or 5, or just start 5 pounds lighter, but pretty damn close. Either the same weight or a bit, or just one level lighter. And then, then I might do 275. It's probably safer to go 5 pounds lighter. Then I might hit 270 for 6. Then the next week I'll go 275 for 5, stay at 275 and then get 6. And then I might go up to 80 for 5. And then if I hit 280 for 6, let's fucking go. Like that's fucking great. And then, if I start to plateau, I get stuck, go back to dumbbells. So I'd say generally speaking, start it off one level lighter just to give yourself that initial win and get that nice, kind of win under your belt. But if you start like 10 pounds lighter, then the amount of time it takes you to get back to where you were, I don't think it's necessary.